a master's in counseling psychology. Oh, I wondered if you were recording, Danica, so I'm glad you caught that. So my name is Shauna Bowen, and I'm a health coach at Vera. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology with an emphasis on holistic health and psychosomatic psychology. I'm nationally certified as a wellness coach. I've been working with people looking for change and dealing with change behavior for about 21 years. And I can honestly say I'm a recovered insomniac. So I'm inspired to talk about this topic. So just some learning agreements today. Let's be kind to ourselves, that sleep can be this mysterious thing. And so if there's something new that you learn, let's be kind to ourselves and to each other as we learn. Of course, if someone were to ask a question or a comment, that we practice confidentiality with what is said here today. Of course, be respectful. And something that Vera coaches we talk about often is fail forward. If you've tried something or you're looking at better sleep and there is some discovery and practicing, that we call it failing forward. So there is no fail as long as you get back up and try again until you have success. And of course, all questions are welcome and safe. And I think what we're going to do with that is we're going to have questions in the comment box, and then I will check in with Danica periodically throughout the presentation for questions. And then of course, at the end, we can have questions as well. So today we're just going to talk about why sleep is important, hopefully offer some practical tips on better sleep. And then we're going to talk about NAPEP's Sleep Challenge, which this presentation kind of kicks off the annual NAPEP Sleep Challenge. So I love this quote. If I can get back to it. There's nothing like a good laugh and some sleep to pretty much cure anything. So let's just have a little bit of humor and play a little bit and honor sleep for just a couple minutes through your lunch. So why is sleep important? There's a lot of research out there. I'm just going to throw a few things out at you. The CDC recommendations are that adults should get at least 7 to 8, I'm going to throw in 8 hours of sleep a night, restful sleep. And what we're finding is that a third of adults do not get 7 hours of sleep a night. So there's this growing concern of inadequate sleep across this country, across the world, and how it's starting to relate to wellness and chronic disease risk. So good to talk about. So according to some clinical studies, just to kind of offer some inspiration here. So we're going to look at participants who were only getting 4 to 7 hours of sleep, and they noticed these trends. For starters, they noticed that on average, people getting 4 to 7 hours of sleep were eating up to 300 more calories a day. The reason I wanted to throw this in here is a lot of times, especially with this past year with COVID, and I'm sure we've all heard the term the COVID-10, the COVID-15. I think some people are now saying the COVID-20 of weight gain during this past year, that there are a lot of people working in wellness coaching right now to lose a little weight. So this comes into play that when you're getting adequate sleep, success with a diet or any kind of wellness change regarding losing weight, that actually adequate sleep can help with success with that. Also, for anyone who perhaps has ever been involved with any kind of strength training program, sleep will be a big part of what your trainers are going to strongly suggest for you. That when you are sleeping, that is when muscle mass is developed and repaired. So what we find is that people who are getting low sleep, they're losing lean muscle and actually keeping their fat stores. So again, if you are a part of a strength training program or any kind of training for an event, that sleep becomes important to make sure that your body is developing and repairing muscle mass. Also, we're finding that there is a lot going on during sleep with sugar regulation. So for anyone who has been diagnosed with diabetes or pre-diabetes, that having a sleep regimen, a very healthy sleep regimen, can actually help with treatment of that and prevention of diabetes. So I basically say for everybody, because carbs and sugar is something that's a part of our culture, that having good sleep can actually help with the regulation of blood sugar levels, and can help with a prevention program to prevent diabetes. And of course, I wanted to bring up that there's a decreased immune response for people that are not getting adequate sleep. COVID is on the rise again, winter is coming. So to really make rest and sleep a priority is going to help with just your overall immunity. So just some inspiration through education on that. So on the other side, for people who did get sleep, who were getting 7 to 8 hours, these are some of the trends they found on this front. Better results with weight loss. Being able to practice patience and making good decisions. There is something about being rested and kind of being rejuvenated that can help with being patient, with kind of looking at all angles and making good decisions. Here's one that is very interesting, and I see a lot in my coaching practice, is there's a better chance of exercising sometime in the day if there's restorative sleep. When someone does not have restorative sleep and is kind of dragging all day, the thought of working for 8 hours and then going to the gym almost seems like an impossible feat. So when you are having rejuvenative sleep, there's a better chance of exercising. So for anyone who has an exercise program or has some goals to increase their exercise, sleep can be put into the fold to support success with that. Of course, getting sick less often because the immune system is better prepared. And just kind of hitting on that disease risk front, sleep is going to help with preventing obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. So I hope that there's been some inspiration with giving kind of some statistics of some clinical studies out there with people not getting sleep and people that are getting sleep. So I want to stop here, Danica. Any questions so far? And I will take the silence as no. So we'll keep going. So now that we're inspired to maybe take sleep a little more seriously, let's take a look at some tips for better sleep. I think a lot of people these days have come to understand or maybe have heard of the term sleep hygiene. So basically, we take care of our hygiene before we start our day by taking a shower, brushing our hair, brushing our teeth, perhaps eating breakfast, those kinds of things. And it's just kind of taking care of our hygiene before we go out into the world. So now there's this thing called sleep hygiene, where it's taking care of you and the environment that you will be sleeping in to hopefully kind of offer a better success for better sleep. So if we kind of look at some tips for sleep and sleep hygiene, there are a few things that are talked about quite often. Bedtime consistency. So a lot of people are using coaching might say, okay, I have a bedtime where I am turning off electronics and I am in bed by 9:30, hopefully asleep by 10. And they're basically saying if you're going to create a bedtime, that also includes Friday and Saturday night. And I know for some people that might be hard. But if sleep is really a priority for you, or if you're wanting to really look at sleep, you may want to consider folding in your weekends with a bedtime and a rise time, just to kind of help with that circadian rhythm. Also, creating a quiet, dark, relaxing space can actually help with falling asleep. There's even suggestions that having a clean space, even under your bed, sometimes we have a lot of stuff under our bed or it's very chaotic around us, that it can actually disrupt kind of, I guess, the energetic quality of sleep. So kind of like taking care of your surroundings, cleaning, making it a a nice place to rest and relax in can actually help with a sleep hygiene program. Um, they are also suggesting if there is a way to kind of keep the temperature a bit lower, that helps with staying asleep or falling asleep. So just kind of keeping a little bit of a lower temperature. I know summers in Flagstaffs, we've had some unusually high temperatures, and a lot of us do not have air conditioning, but perhaps a fan or anything you can do to kind of keep a lower temperature that doesn't become as much of an issue as winter arrives for us. But it is suggested that people who have a lower temperature in their room and stay cool tend to stay asleep. And also this whole kind of trend of removing electronic devices. And I wouldn't necessarily say remove them from the room, but I would have them off. And we can talk more about that in a little bit as the strategy behind that. And then also I wanted to fold in regular exercise. People who are exercising regularly tend to also report having a better chance of sleep. Exercise does a lot of things on a biochemical, neurochemical front to kind of give more of a, I don't know, a chemical chance, a brain chance of actually being able to fall asleep and stay asleep. So exercise really plays an awesome part in a sleep program. Oh, and I want to say exercise does not mean an hour and a half at the gym. It could mean a brisk 20 to 30-minute walk. So it doesn't have to be something extreme, but any kind of movement where you're getting your heart rate up just a bit, like perhaps if you're walking, being able to maybe slightly have discomfort in talking, a brisk walk can really be helpful. Couple other things that are coming up. Try not to nap after 3 p.m. It's kind of this whole notion that if you're sleeping during the day, you are stealing time for sleep during the night. And I know this can become a vicious circle because you're not sleeping during the day and then or you're not sleeping at night and then you're getting sleepy during the day, and just that nap is just calling to you. But what's happening is there's kind of a rearranging of your circadian rhythm that can really make it hard to get that 7 or 8 hours at night. So it's kind of a snowball effect that if you can really start to create a daytime of not napping, that's also going to help with the chance of having better sleep. Of course, this is another snowball effect. I'm not sleeping at night. I'm tired during the day. I'm drinking caffeine. We call caffeine in the neurochemical front a serotonin melatonin killer. So if you're drinking a lot of caffeine, you're destroying the chemistry required to sleep. So again, it's like, I need the caffeine because I'm so tired, but it may be the caffeine that's actually part of the culprit of why you're not sleeping at night. So again, taking a look at naps, taking a look at caffeine and seeing if those can start to be removed so that there's a better chance at sleeping at night. This one I go back and forth with. Some people live by this and they really like it, and other people don't. Some have suggested that if you wake up, to actually get up and get out of your bed and do something else within the house. For some people, this works. For other people, they could be up for the rest of the night. I know for me, the minute I turn on a light or I start moving around, I'm up and I'm staying up. So this one you have to play around with. What is going to work for you? When I wake up in the middle of the night, I tend to keep the room dark. And I tend to just very quickly put on some sort of a relaxation app or maybe a book on tape, but electronically, and get the light away from me. So I get it set up, press the button, and I want the light away from my eyes. Light stimulates waking up. So it just depends on what works. Other people really like it to get up, and then when they start to feel heavy, go back to sleep or go back to the bed and sleep. Some people stay in bed. So that's kind of however you want to work that one. And then also, again, kind of on the chemistry front, try to avoid late, large meals, late sugar eating, late caffeine drinking, and late alcohol drinking. All of these things screw up the natural sleep rhythms. And so if you're doing these things at night, it actually could be a culprit as to why you're having agitated sleep. So I'll stop here. Any questions or comments so far from this part? Or anything in the chat, Danica? All right, I will keep going. So these are all just ways to help with that sleep hygiene. So what I would say when I'm working with folks who want better sleep, um, these are all things that can be worked into a coaching plan and really kind of taken seriously. Like for people that are like, okay, I'm really gonna start focusing on a bedtime, and I'm really gonna make sure that I've turned off my electronics and I'm in bed at a certain time and working on it. When you're working with circadian rhythms and sleep, this is not like a one and done. This is more of a life practice that can take many weeks to see results. So just kind of want to normalize that this journey, to be gentle with yourself and be patient. But if these things are pursued consistently, you can uh, kind of heal or improve your sleep. All right, let's move on. Sleep support. Couple things I want to throw out here. Serotonin and melatonin. This is kind of a neurotransmitter thing. So serotonin, we may have heard of this neurotransmitter. It's kind of the feel-good relaxation, yet bright-eyed, bushy-tailed type of neurochemistry where we feel good. We feel relaxed, we feel calm, we feel happy, we feel bright. Serotonin is an amazing neurochemical. However, a lot of times serotonin can be compromised, challenged. Sometimes it's with genetics, sometimes it's through environment or kind of toxicity in the environment. Sometimes it's just the feelings of like what's going on around a person situationally, where serotonin can be low. We know that when serotonin is low, we tend to have feelings of depression, even diagnosis of depression based on low serotonin. An antidepressant is actually working on serotonin. So anyone who has heard of an antidepressant or is taking one, really what we're trying to do is reuptake the serotonin through medication. The reason I bring this up is that serotonin magically turns into melatonin when the sun goes down. So we have kind of lost this knowledge when it comes to sleep. So serotonin, bright, happy, feeling happy during the day. And then the sun goes down, UV ray stops, and then serotonin turns into melatonin. Melatonin is the neurochemical that tells us it's time to shut down and go to sleep. So I want to connect people who maybe struggle with serotonin levels during the day. I just want to normalize might be struggling with sleep at night. So I always say that depression, anxiety, and insomnia like to hang out together. So again, that's just something to kind of know regarding neurochemistry and what's going on with serotonin and melatonin. So let's talk about screens and UV light. We just talked about that serotonin turns into melatonin when the sun goes down. Well, this worked out great back when we were farmers and didn't have all this electronics around us. When the sun went down, we all stopped working, we slowed down, and we went to sleep. Now we have all of these screens that's kind of mimicking a kind of UV type of light. And what's happening is our serotonin has become confused and doesn't know if it's time to turn into melatonin because the sun goes down, but we keep looking at screens. So this is why people say stop screens an hour or two before you want to sleep, because it's almost like shining sun into your eyes and your serotonin is not turning into melatonin. So that's like the whole gig around screen time. The other thing I'm going to mention, I work with a lot of folks that perhaps are stressed by perhaps school starting or people going back to work or whatever it might be. And they are on social media and looking at news and local news and feeds regarding maybe something that pertains to their job in bed while they go to sleep. So not only are they screening their eyes and making serotonin confused, they are also getting worked up. So I would say to you, if sleep is something that you're struggling with, to not be looking at social media or any kind of news or even your email if you are going to receive information that is going to up any kind of worry, stress, or fear or anger. Those things create adrenaline. And once you have kind of that fight or flight adrenaline, you're not going to sleep. So there's kind of a twofer for not looking at screens as nighttime and your bedtime comes. Also, just a lifestyle of stress management would be helpful. If you are constantly in a state of worry, stress, anger, fear, your neurochemistry is actually dumping a lot of adrenaline into your body and your brain for fight or flight. If we could perhaps look at, I don't know, the animal kingdom, fight or flight is how the animal kingdom survives, right? A threat is running at us, and we either fight or we run from the threat, which works great if you're a deer and a lion. It doesn't work so great when you are a human being trying to deal with family and work and everything else, but you're super stressed. So here's the deal. Your brain does not know the difference between a saber-toothed tiger actually running at you or thinking about a saber-toothed tiger running at you. The adrenaline dump and the fight or flight response will be the same. So what I'm seeing a lot of is with this kind of stressful lifestyle, especially this past year that we've endured, is that we've got saber-toothed tigers. We're thinking about saber-toothed tigers coming at us at night. And your body simply will not allow you to sleep if you're in fight or flight. And that is on purpose for survival. So having a lifestyle of stress management and having a lifestyle of practicing thought stop and really staying calm at night will be very helpful with sleep support. I also wanted to bring up that we've got other supports out there. There are supplements that perhaps could help with a serotonin, melatonin calming situation. As a wellness coach, I can't prescribe supplements, but there are a lot of people looking into this. You could certainly talk with any of the natural grocer type situations that we have locally, or talk with a naturopath, homeopath, about what might help with sleep support. Also, as far as Bear is concerned, if sleep has become a crisis and you really perhaps need to talk with a provider about some medication for a little bit, that is also an option. And also there's a lot of apps and things out there, anything from an app on your phone. Again, screen time, so you want to get your app, whether it's going to be book on tape or a calming meditation visualization, and then turn the phone over so you're not looking at the light. Or even grab something on YouTube, have it ready to go so that all you have to do is click play if you need it and turn the light away from you. And YouTube has a ton of visualizations and calming types of situations to help with calming, sleeping, those kinds of things. So again, I'll just kind of stop here. And Danica, I can't see the chat, so I'm just gonna, let's see if I can.
Shauna, this is Adrienne.
Hi, Adrienne.
Just in case, because Danica may have had to step away or take a call.
Oh, okay.
But we do have 4 questions in the chat.
Awesome. Go for it.
The first is, should you exercise before sleep or earlier?
Okay, why don't we take them one at a time? So here's the deal. I would say play around with this. For me, I do very heavy cardio exercise and I get a nice runner's high, and I could literally lay down and go to sleep. Like, it's just a beautiful runner's high that actually makes me go to sleep. For some people, they get amped. So it depends on what works for you. There is a suggestion to not exercise an hour or two before wanting to sleep if you do get an amp up. But but one of the things I want to connect with exercise is that you're using adrenaline. So if you've been stressed, if you had a fight or flight response and you're kind of upped, um, using your muscles is kind of like using your fight or flight. So it's a really good idea to have exercise as part of your regimen, especially if you know that you're probably adrenaline prone based on what's going on with your life, that you're using that adrenaline up, which gives your body permission to kind of go to sleep and shut down. So I would say play around with this. I love doing a hard exercise and then going to sleep. Um, for other people, they just can't. So it really depends on what works for them. And of course, be looking at what are you eating and drinking before and after. So that like if someone's doing a lot of caffeine for like a pumped up workout, that of course is going to play into things as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Next, do televisions count as electronic devices that should be removed?
Ha. At this point, oh man, don't quote me on this, but is a lot of times we're watching TV on a computer or our phone. So of course that's out. If you have a flat screen TV, I'm also skeptical. The older TVs, I don't think had as much. I remember back in the 70s watching like a TV show with my family, did see TV sleep, that I think if you're watching TV in bed on your computer, probably not a good idea. I would say if it's kind of more of a flat screen TV and you're out in the front room, try different things. See if this is a culprit. I call them culprits. Like, what are your culprits? So if there's kind of like a flat screen TV in your bedroom, you might want to try not watching TV and perhaps reading, playing cards with actual cards, not on your phone. Anything to kind of keep a screen away and just play around with that. Does the TV affect, and is it a culprit, or can you get away with the TV and then it's with the phone and the computers that you're trying to stay away from? Good question though.
Okay, thank you. How long should I wait after a large meal?
Oh man, if I had it my way, I wish people, especially if it's a large meal, that it's like 4 hours before you want to go to bed.
Mhm.
At least two. Um, Especially if there's going to be like a carb sugar jump. I forgot to mention this, that when you eat sugar at night, you're kind of boosting your sugar levels. And what happened, like people who eat ice cream before they go to bed, like, someone's having a bowl of ice cream at 9 o'clock, you just totally shot your sugar levels through the roof. And then what
Mhm.
happens is insulin comes in and like takes the sugar down. But when you have such a sugar rush, it can almost like overshoot taking it down. And now you have a sugar low at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And if you have a sugar low, your body actually wakes up because it thinks it's in crisis. So I am a
Uh,
big fan of sugar regulation in the evenings. If you're gonna do dessert, like for me, I'll just speak for me. I don't do dessert after dinner. If I'm gonna do something like sugary treaty, it's gonna be in the afternoon after lunch. I My husband and I have just stopped eating sugar at night because that's part of our sleep regimen. But again, I'd play around with this. Is this a culprit for you? But I'm going to make a big prediction that if you're eating a bowl of ice cream at 9 o'clock and then you're waking up at 2 or 3, that might be part of the reason. Might.
okay, thank you. And then the last one I see, is taking melatonin helpful / recommended?
I can't necessarily recommend as a wellness coach. I would say supplementing with melatonin, I've heard with some people has helped. Um, and there's a continuum there of, do you supplement with serotonin that's going to turn into melatonin, or are you simply taking melatonin at night? I would say talk with anyone that's in like natural grocers or Sprouts or a naturopath, and kind of work with that and try different melatonin products. They're certainly over counter at this point, so you might want to try one and see, does this help get you to sleep and hopefully more importantly keep you asleep? But certainly I've heard of people supplementing with melatonin. And I think that's also a conversation that's something that providers at Vera are having is, let's have medication be kind of a last resort and let's play around with some supplements. So yeah, I would say at this point, I've heard that it can be helpful. My husband supplements with melatonin. I supplement with L-tryptophan, which helps with serotonin. So again, that's really, I would say, talk with somebody, try it out, fail forward, see what works for you.
Awesome. Thank you. That's all I see in here.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Thanks for that. I wasn't sure if there just weren't any questions. So these were really good questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I think Danica must have taken a call or stepped away. So I think you should know.
Okay, that's cool. So here we're at kind of, let me get to, all right, so NAPEP sleep challenge. So Danica was gonna kind of help me with this, so I'm gonna do my best. So this is kind of the beginning of NAPEP sleep challenge. And the sleep challenge has been going on ever since I've been a coach at Vera. I've been here for 3 years, so I've watched the sleep challenge go for the past 3 years. Personally, as a coach with patients I've worked with that have done it, it's cool. It's informative. So this year, the NAPEP sleep challenge is going to be from September 8th, which is today, through October 5th. And I just briefly kind of put what each week is going to focus on. And these are little teeny tiny steps. That's one of the things as a wellness coach that we really want to emphasize is that it's not all or nothing. You don't just do something for 2 days and have the best sleep of your life, that there's a working up to habits and hygiene that will eventually create, hopefully improve sleep consistently. So these are little itty bitty things to try. So what I read in the sleep challenge is practicing getting to bed 15 minutes earlier, and then 30, and then 45, and then an hour. Just starting to practice what would it be like if for 1 week you went to bed 15 minutes earlier, and then the next week added another 15, just to see what would it be like if you could get up to an hour more of sleep. Because if that was successful over the long haul, you are literally preventing like disease risk. Also in the challenge, I see that they have put cutting back on caffeine. And there's some suggestions about how to do that slowly so it doesn't hurt. I've literally watched people that for one reason or another, maybe a medication or something, couldn't drink caffeine and literally had like major withdrawals from caffeine. So this, again, it's not all or nothing. It's just starting to, what would it be like to maybe not drink as much caffeine or eat as much caffeine? Of course, we put in cutting out technology and practicing around with that. And then also talking about putting in more activity. This is that exercise thing. The more exercise you can put into your day, the more you're using up that adrenaline and kind of wearing yourself out, which can support improved sleep. So that's going to be the sleep challenge. Now, I wanted to share that with employees or patients that I work with that were part of the sleep challenge, we were trying to grab some data points and we just couldn't get to them in time. But I will say this with absolute certainty. For patients I worked with that took the sleep challenge seriously, like they literally were doing the challenge every night, that they reported, I would say almost across the board, that their sleep improved. And it really helped with their coaching plans if it was like a weight loss thing or trying to get their A1C sugar numbers down, that it really did support the rest of their wellness goals. So I highly recommend doing the sleep challenge, not just clicking on it and reading it, but like doing it every day and seeing what can happen. So I'm gonna stop sharing and get to another link because I want to show you guys where to get to the sleep challenge. So, oh, Danica, you're back. Are you there?
Yes, I'm unmuting
Okay.
myself.
Do you have the link that you could like maybe put in the chat so people have it, or how do you want to help people get to the challenge?
Let's see. So what we are suggesting, I've tried to see if there was a direct link on the NAPEP calendar. And there is not. So you'll need to log in if you haven't before. log in so that you can see that that information. So, and the challenge FAQs are also available. So please go out there, take a look. There is a pre and post test evaluation just to give some reflection to yourself and for us to know how to better support the sleep health questions that you might have. So thank you all so much for joining today's webinar, but also being interested in taking advantage of those sleep opportunities.
And Danica, I know that it was in the wellness newsletter that there was a link. I even have that up if you want me to share it so people know what to look for.
Absolutely, thank you.
Let me get to that. I'm going to get out of my presentation. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. Let me pull it up. Are you seeing my screen?
Nope, I just see you.
Okay, hold on. So I'm gonna do this. Now I want to share my screen. Okay, now do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what you guys got from your NAPEP Wellness. There was an email sent, so you can kind of see the 21-day challenge. It's got the challenge details, so you can just literally click in here and here. So it's one more way to get to the challenge. And if there's any, I know with logging in, for anyone out there who maybe is new to that part, Danica, do you know of the resource to kind of help people with logging in and getting into their like wellness site?
Yeah, so let's see there. I can put the link to the homepage for
Okay, cool.
NAPEP in the chat. I definitely can do that. And you will use your, you'll register to sign in and using your employee number and then developing a password.
Cool.
If you have any problems with that, there is an email address, or you can email me or Bretta that supports accessing the website. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that the website is there. It has lots of information, and you should find this and other great resources that are available. And here we go, right in the chat.
Okay, I see it. Very cool. So I have a little bit of time. I just want to open it up. Was this helpful? Do you have any further questions for folks out there?
Yes, this is Barbara. This was very helpful. It gave me some really good tips about things that I know I'm doing wrong before I'm trying to go to sleep, like eating sugar and I'm not getting enough exercise. And anyway, these are some really great things for me to try to start incorporating to see if it helps me, because I have a major problem sleeping. So thank you. It was very informative. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Barbara. And hey, if this really continues to be a problem and you're finding that it's literally affecting your quality of life, don't hesitate to utilize Vera to talk with a provider about it, or even use a coach to kind of have that extra layer of support and accountability of creating some outcomes around improved sleep and some goals around that.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? That was kind of, now I can get to the chat. So, okay. Well, you all, I know that this is super important. Like I said, I consider myself an insomniac in recovery. And I would say just personally, some of the biggest things for me was a daily practice of stress management and knowing when I've got an adrenaline dump is what I would call it, because of a fight or flight, due to a thought, not that I had a saber-toothed tiger actually chasing me, but that I was creating thinking that was causing worry and stress and fear, and really working on my ability to think better throughout my day to prevent those adrenaline dumps or the fight or flight, was absolutely monumental. And that is a life practice of really taking responsibility for your thinking. So that was one of the biggest things. I'm also a fan of supplements myself. My husband and I both use supplements. So please talk with a practitioner who could recommend supplements. And again, if medication needs to happen for a while, that's also something that Vera can help with. And there's apps out there, the Calm app, there's so many apps and ways to create like a visualization to kind of calm down, to take the parasympathetic down. So there's lots of things to do out there. So I wish you all beautiful, amazing sleep. Danica, any last words?
I think if you're thinking about needing support, this would be a great health coaching topic that ties right to the wellness incentive program. So if you want to start your relationship with our Vera health coaches and make this the topic that you discussed during those 6 sessions that get you access to the wellness incentive, this is I think a great opportunity to do that and get that support. So thank you everyone for joining today. We have recorded today's session and we'll make it available. So thank you so much and have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.